Hello, it's me, hello. Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess. Yes, today I have a tiny microphone. It was already plugged in my camera, so I'm just gonna go with it today. Today I wanted to chat quickly about it's not a series, but it is numerous books within a world that I had read all of, like I finished a few months ago. I was like, oh, I should talk about them and tell you my favorites. If reading them in order matters, just give you some thoughts. You've probably heard of this author before. His name is John Mars, and at least one of his shows has been turned into a TV show for Netflix, and it was the first one. So the collection of stories, okay, literally as I'm filming this, I click on it and the series is called Dark Future, but it's only showing 3 books. But when I looked at this, when I first got the idea to do this, it had all 5 of these stories within the same world. And I read them all, and they all do refer, I thought I read them in order, but I had missed one, but they all do, if you're reading them in order, reflect back on something that's happened in a previous book. But now on Goodreads, it's not showing them all together. As I find this so weird, because I literally was looking at it when I went to go mark the latest one I had read, which was like a month or 2 ago. And I was like, oh, it says Dark Future number 5 or whatever. So I was like, oh, that makes sense since I'm listening to this one and it's referring to something that happened back in whatever book. So for whatever reason, whoever did that on Goodreads, I don't know, but I've read all 5 of them, and I'm going to include them all as part of this Dark Future series. So they go, and now it's not going to tell me what order they go in. That's really freaking annoying. I knew I wasn't crazy. I went to John Mars' website. He has it listed as the Dark Future books, set in the same universe, but don't need to be read in order. Goodreads was tripping. I am correct. Thank you very much. Well, now I can't remember what order I read them in. Editing Jessica will have to do that, because I'm feeling really frustrated from Goodreads is trying to gaslight me, and I swear I'm not crazy. Goodreads really had me stressed. I read The One, and then I read The Passengers, The Marriage Act, The Family Experiment, and then I finished with The Minders. However, on his website, it has The One, The Passengers, The Minders, The Marriage Act, The Family Experiment. But again, you don't have to read them in order. They are all connected in this basically futuristic, primarily in the UK, where it is they're like sci-fi thrillers, where there are things that have not happened quite yet, but are not that unrealistic. So in the one that has the Netflix documentary, there is a service that's like a dating service, but it matches you by DNA. Now, all of these, they have the original premise, and then there's something or some things that usually go awry, dark things that happen depending on the people involved, because humans are messy and things don't always go to plan. Even if you look beyond the creepiness of matching people by their DNA, there's just other things that happen. And that's what I enjoy about his books, is it's like, here's the premise. Okay, cool. So you know generally what you're going to get, but there's always going to be some mess up in there. So in the one, the people are matched by their DNA matches. Now, of course, some people are already married, have been with somebody for a long time. Then they decide to do this because they're convinced, oh yeah, it's going to show me I'm already with my person. Find out they're not with their person. That causes chaos, but that's just like the tip of the iceberg. That's very mild compared to some other things that people want to do. Then we go into The Passengers, which is again in the same world, but these people there's basically smart cars, driverless cars. Now, at the time that I read this came out in 2019. Did we have driverless cars yet? I don't remember. Again, like I said, these things are not that far from, they're not super unrealistic, right? They're not that futuristic. So driverless cars, and these people are in them, various people, one day when they get hacked, and it turns into a reality show where they're like, you basically have to pick someone. Is it one person, someone or someone's to survive, and the rest of the people are going to die? And it's like broadcasting this all over for people to watch. Again, foolishness ensues. They're usually, all of his books are super fast paced, and you're kind of like, there's usually lots of POVs, so you're like jumping back and forth. You're like, what's happening? What's going on? Very entertaining, but also very fucked up. And like reading that again, I've never been in a driverless vehicle and I do not plan on getting in one, but I was already paranoid from that book. Then I watched the show Upload. If you know, you know. And then now seeing the reports of the Waymo cars and driverless Ubers, no, thank you. I will take the risk with a regular human. Then we have the Marriage Act, which I read the last 3 this year. So the Marriage Act was essentially, again, this is all in the UK, where people who agree to upgrade to a smart marriage, see, a lot of these things have to do with technology, agree to a smart marriage, have all of these benefits, like they make more money, they get to live in better places, they get more tax breaks. And what is a smart marriage? It's essentially, I don't have it on right now, but you're wearing like a wearable watch and you have devices installed in your house so they can always hear what's going on. So if you start to have disagreements and there's turmoil in your home, they can hear you and they like interject and are like, here's some tips on how to come to a resolution with your partner. And if that doesn't work and escalates, then they're going to send someone into your home. So again, it's already a messed up thing with the differences in people who opt in for a smart marriage versus regular people who don't want to do that, even if they are married or are single and don't want to have the government, because this is something government run, involved in their romantic life. Then they suffer in a lot of ways financially, but then these people may reap financial benefits, but are they happy? Are their marriages that great? And this one starts off wild. And here's one thing about John Marrs you have to be wary about is all of his books have multiple POVs, and it can be confusing in the beginning because it's like 5 or 6. There's not like 2 or 3, 5 or 6, and we're jumping around. But then once you start getting into the story and realizing how they're connected, especially, they're not like directly always, oh, this person is the boyfriend of they're like such unique ways that they connect. It's always interesting to be like, aha, that's how that person was related to that one. Oh my word, this one was crazy. But again, just think of all of the things, the craziness that can happen. The people who, if your marriage escalates where they have to send someone to your home, they don't just send somebody to your home. It's not just like a therapist. You're not just talking to this person. This person can move in with you. To say it gets weird is an understatement. There's just so much. This one also had a really interesting plot line with 2 of the characters about being an influencer, and you're like, how does that relate to this story? And it does, it works. But it was also very interesting reading that now in this year of just like what goes through the mind of somebody who's doing the influencing, but also how the public perceives that, but then also how the public perceives that person, how that person then interprets and like ingests that information, basically how people judge you, and then like how that affects the person. So I just thought that was really interesting, very topical, but also the whole with the story, especially once you get to the end, is so fucked up, but it was good. And then after the Marriage Act, you have the Family Experiment. Now this was, okay, again, they were in the same world, and now there's some people who cannot conceive children. So they enter a competition. It's basically like a reality show where let's say 5 couples are chosen and they're given a digital baby. It's essentially like I don't want to say AI, but it's basically like they can put on like a VR goggles and go into this world where their child is like feels as real as possible, and people get to watch this and like give them points or take away points or like give them likes or thumbs down, whatever it is, based on how they react to the baby. So of course they give these babies things like your baby may have colic, or you may have a really great baby but a really ornery toddler. And so the ways parents interact with the kid and with their partner, and like how their family interacts and how the audience feels, all goes into that, because whoever has like who's like voted number 1, or whoever's left standing at the end, are the ones who actually get like I think it's a financial amount that helps them towards IVF, but they have to, basically delete their digital kid. So there's people who got into this contest for, all the wrong reasons and going along and finding out all of those different reasons why these people are there. And it's not even couple by couple, it's like person by person, because even one person in this couple really wanted a kid, but this person in this couple, they have some ulterior motives in why they're in this competition. And then there's like the questions of ethics because of some ways that parents react to these digital children and things that they do to them. And it's like, okay, where do we draw the line? Is that a no? It's not a real child, but they're supposed to be treating it like a real child. So should they be able to do that? I thought that one was, it was a bonkers ride. Again, multiple POVs, so many stories, so interesting how they all ended up connecting. And there was, again, this is something that I could see. You already have people who are in relationships with AI, so I would not be surprised. Now, if you make a family, I don't understand why these people can't just make a family on The Sims. Like, if you just want a fake family or a partner or a child, just do that. But I would not be surprised if soon we heard about AI babies or virtual reality babies or whatever. So I thought, whoa, yeah, that one was crazy. And to wrap it all up is The Minders. Now this one, again, I know these are all in the same world because I read them all and they will reference things in the other books. But in this one, now this UK government that has done all of these things, including the cars that got hacked, the passenger cars, the family experiment, the marriage act, all of these things. So now they're worried about their government being hacked and a way to secure their government secrets. So they come with this idea to embed them in people. Somehow they like get it in their DNA and they like find some way where it's not, I don't remember if they're not allowed to say anything. They choose like 5 people and it basically will like go in their bodies and somehow it'll like pass in like 5 years or something. I can't remember the details, but essentially instead of having it like on backup servers or something that could be hacked by, people, they put them inside people and then those people have to like go start a new life, basically giving them another identity, go live somewhere else, and they're keeping the secrets. Really great solution, right? Wrong. So much. Again, you're putting your trust in people. Right there, already faulty. So they are, because their minds, they still have all their memories, right? But they've reached out to people and most of these people want to leave their life behind for some reason, one reason or another. And they adopt these new identities now. Of course, that means the new people that you meet, you can't be fully open with them. You have to kind of lie. So that presents a problem for some people because they're like, I'm building genuine connection. I'm falling in love with this person, but I can't really tell them about myself. Then there's somebody where the process may have gone wrong. Somebody else who may have some mental illness issues. So that was a lot. So you get to see that play out and how their plan, they explain the science better in the story, but how their plan to keep the national secret using humans. And it goes as well as you probably thought. Now, out of these 5, I know they all sound wild, and they are. And I think they're all worth reading. And I think reading them in order, which again, I'll put up or maybe up here, is beneficial. But even if you jumped around and only read number 2 or number 5, you would be fine. It's just like small mentions, but you just get it. You're like, yes, I remember when that happened in that book. It's not like we're not getting characters and major plot points overlapping. It's just in-world things that have happened that will be referenced in further books. But I would have to say, now this feels unfair because I read The One and The Passengers like 4 or 5 years ago. And then I read the last 3 this year. So I, take my ranking with a grain of salt. I do confidently, though, put The Minders at number 5, like my least favorite. the premise was interesting, but I just think the execution, just because of them putting the DNA in them, I don't know. I think it was a harder story to make very exciting, but it did. So it felt slower, but it did start to pick up. And ultimately, like, I don't know what I think the lowest is 4 stars. Like, I give them all at least a 4-star because they're a fun time. But the Minders would be my least favorite. Now, this is more difficult because, again, I read the one. I would put the one at number 4, which sounds crazy, but also I have not read it in a long time. So you might just like take that with a grain of salt. I'm pretty sure I read this in 2020. Let's double check. Actually, I read it in 2018. So even further. Yeah, I read that one in 2018. That's actually crazy. So I'm going to put the one at 4, but still excellent because at the time when I read it, I gave it 4 stars. Okay. Then I think I would put, this is hard. I know what number 1 is. So number 3 and number 2 are harder, but at number 3, I think I'm going to put The Marriage Act. I'm not even remembering what I rated these. Okay. I definitely gave that one a 4 to see if I gave any of them a 5. I know which one I did give a 5. So I'm going to do The Minders, the one, The Marriage Act, The Family Experiment. Cause wow. And then The Passengers. I read The Passengers in 2020, but I still remember reading that. I mean, that thing had me on the edge of my seat because that one is just so crazy because it's literally being broadcast to all these people. All these people are trapped inside driverless cars, and then they're having people who are watching this vote on who deserves to live. Riveting literature, I tell you. But so that's my ranking: The Passengers, The Family Experiment, The Marriage Act, the one, The Minders. John Mars. Those are just my opinions. He has other stories that are not in this world, and I haven't read any of those, I don't believe, but I will. I haven't had a bad time yet with one of his books, so I'm just going to continue going. So there is my advice. If you're curious on where to start, I would say start with the one and go through to The Minders, but you can start anywhere. So if you've read any of these, let me know. Have you read them all? Did you realize it was interconnected? I just was like listening and I was like, oh yeah, that was mentioned that, and then saw it on Goodreads. I don't appreciate being gaslit by Goodreads. I know what I saw and they're all in the same freaking world. Fix it. Goodreads librarian. Okay, that's it. So let me know your thoughts down below. If you have read them, if you are intrigued to read them, share your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed, hydrated, moisturize, and sunscreen. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.